Tax reform. We're on the cusp right now, in the next 2 weeks, in which Republican and Democratic leadership in the past 40 years have not been able to move. And it was an historic vote in the past 2 days. And now we've got to take it over the finish line. That's exactly what we promised to do. But let me tell you some other things we're doing with regards to the economy. Sharon Decker, my Commerce Secretary, working with both the Senate and the House, we're going to implement a program called Partnership for Prosperity. Instead of having 30 or 40 different economic development groups in the state saying different things and representing different special interests, we're going to be united under one umbrella, and we're going to have an economic development brand for North Carolina. And we're going to spend as much time trying to retain existing industry here in North Carolina as we are recruiting new industry here in North Carolina. Does that make sense? Let me tell you another thing we're going to do. We're going to implement, and you're going to see it in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have an energy bill passed in this legislature by both the House and Senate with strong pushing by the executive branch. An energy bill which will unleash the resources that are underneath our ground throughout North Carolina to help us make us energy independent and to help us create jobs in the areas where we have 15-20% unemployment. We have another goal. We want to start unleashing the resources that are underneath the ocean, 50 and 60 miles off the coast. Nikki Haley in South Carolina, we're forming a coalition. But there's only one person blocking it. His name is President Obama. And I ask President Obama right now, let us unleash our oil and gas off of our coast and generate jobs in North Carolina. Another thing we're doing with the economy. We're actually working with businesses and treating them as a customer. Isn't that unique?
Go figure.
In my second week in office, I had the founder of Ashley Furniture come to my office. He's about 80 years old, a remarkable man. He flew down from Wisconsin. He's been planning to open up a plant in Advance and Knoxville area. Virginia Fox, our great congresswoman, has been helping with this. Well, they approved the plan over a year ago, but they couldn't get their permits through the State Department of Theater. They waited and they waited and they waited, and the executive came to my office and said, I'm ready to leave North Carolina and we have yet to start. Within 3 weeks, my new Secretary of Diener fixed the problem. They opened up their plant, and I expect them to expand and create more jobs for generations to come. Another thing that we're working with a team with the legislature, and my cabinet members have demanded this, is we're reforming what they call the State Personnel Act in the state of North Carolina, something that's been around for decades. Some of the rules of the State Personnel Act are harsher than any union rules in the most unionized states in the United States of America. You know, I've had to fire one employee twice already. We had to deal with another employee that hadn't shown up to work in 3 months and they kept getting paid. And yet, as my cabinet members have found out, when they're trying to bring efficiency and effectiveness throughout state government in a $20 billion operation, if they take any action toward an employee, the average appeal process is now over 400 days. Can you imagine running a business in the private sector when you cannot take any action whatsoever? And the appeal process was over 400 days. You would be out of business in the first 10 days. We're working with the legislature because guess what? We want to reward the state employees that are doing a great job. And we also want to say to the employees that don't have the skills or qualifications or they just don't like producing things, we're going to have to say you need to step out of the way and let someone else step in that very important seat. We're stepping on some toes, ladies and gentlemen. We're stepping on the toes of the status quo. But we have no choice. I'm competing against South Carolina and Nikki Haley. I've told Nikki and I have become good friends. She's a great competitor. I said, Nikki, we're taking you down. And she said, may the best woman win.
Good for her.
I said, whatever it takes. Can we scratch that from the tape? I'll read that in the newspaper. Let me tell you something else we're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're saying no to Obamacare. Saying yes to. Let me tell you what we're saying yes to. Ladies and gentlemen, right now the Medicaid system is broken. And I have a responsibility to deal and help the elderly, women and children, and the disabled. That's what Medicaid was designed for. I can't expand an existing program that's broken, in which the services are overcost, the delivery is absolutely terrible for those people, and the taxpayer is being robbed of valuable money. It's our job. You never expand something that's already broken. You fix what you have and make it better. So we're saying yes, we want to help the poor, the elderly, the disabled, women who are in need right now in this very tough economy. In fact, if we did expand it, we'd be hurting those people right now, because we're stripping valuable resources from those people who need the help. And as we continue to have Medicaid cost overruns, we're taking money away from our teachers and our universities and our roads. We've got to fix the problem we have. You don't keep expanding programs that don't work. That's common sense. That's the right thing to do. Let me tell you one other thing we're doing on government efficiency, and that is this. I've got a great person who's the head of IRS system, information systems, the computer system, Chris Estes. And we found out we have like 80 or 90 different computer systems in state government. None of them talk to each other and very few work. And they're costing millions upon millions of dollars. Guess what Chris came up to me and said, Pat, Governor, I want to set up an innovation center. And my dean or secretary said, you can have my first floor. Why don't you just take my department's first floor, we'll move a few employees, open it up. We're going to have an innovation center where state government's going to do something unique. We're going to actually test out the computers before we buy it. How's that for innovative? Let me mention just one other thing, and I look forward to, I just look forward to continuing this great relationship. Education. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said when I ran, I have a passion for education. I got my teaching degree from Catawba College. My goal was to always be a teacher. One day I'll get a promotion after this gig and become a teacher. I have so much respect for teachers, but one thing I said last week is this. You know where our teachers need support right now? They need support in a lot of areas, but one area of support, they've given me this feedback, and so have their bosses. All they're doing is giving tests now. They're not being allowed to teach. The bureaucrats have taken over the teachers. We're going to help the teachers, and we're going to start reducing the number of tests that we're just piling on them. I want our kids to have an intellectual capability, and the other thing I've said, which is called controversy, I also want them to learn a skill so they can get a job once they graduate. Education, government efficiency, the economy. That's what we're going to focus on. I want to thank Speaker Tillis. I want to thank President Berger. I want to thank the Senate and House members. I want to thank my cabinet. But more than anything else, I want to thank each of you. Because we wouldn't have the opportunity, have the privilege to make a difference in this state. We're going to be stepping on some toes in the next 2 weeks, in the next 3.5 years. not to cause pain, but to get people to recognize they have to stand up and make a difference and recognize that we have a problem and we've got to solve the problems now so the next generation can have the same great quality of life that so many of us have enjoyed in North Carolina. This is just the first chapter. We have a long way to go. It's not going to happen overnight, but we will not back down. Thank you, and God bless.